Hey, 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 it's Lexi here with Lexi's Healthy Dynamic Life for one of our very first podcast episodes. I'm super, super excited to be here with a special guest. I have Mr. Ray Rinkus, also known as the Vegan Nurse, also my fiance, handsome man. And we're going to talk to you today about whole raw plant foods, what they are, why they're amazing, and what you feel like when you're on whole raw plant foods. So let's give a warm welcome to Ray. Ray, thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So excited to have a nurse's perspective, a nursing student, but soon to be nurse perspective on nutrition, health, wellness, and weight loss. All these good things. So, Ray, what can you tell us about what whole raw plant foods are and maybe what they aren't?
Well, I'd say whole raw plant foods, it's just basically, nothing cooked, nothing altered, nothing processed, which by definition doesn't necessarily mean additives. It could just mean stuck through a grinder and all of a sudden now your peanut butter, although it may be raw, it's processed.
Yeah. So, what are some examples of foods that are whole raw plant foods?
Fruit.
Yeah.
Got some veggies in there. That's about it, really.
What are your favorite whole raw plant foods? What's your go-to?
I like a mango.
Just one mango?
A couple at a time, usually.
How many mangoes do you eat at a time?
Usually just two.
Just two. I've seen you eat more than two mangoes.
I could. I guess it really depends on the mango size, too.
That's true.
You get those little yellow ones from Asia, and gosh, you could eat a whole thing of them.
How many's in a whole thing?
6, usually.
Yeah, we get those at Costco. I didn't get paid to say that either. So, from a nurse's perspective, what are the benefits of eating whole raw plant foods?
Well, there's a ton of benefits, really. You decrease your risk factors for many, many, many disorders, like heart disease, any kind of blood clot formation. So that's not just heart attacks, that's like strokes, pulmonary embolism, which is another form of a blood clot, deep vein thrombosis, blood clot, usually in the leg. I mean, heart disease, it's the big one. People all talk about it, but basically anytime you're eating, animal fat, anything like that, saturated fat, you're building up like some plaque in your veins and arteries, and it's just prone to tearing. You're also getting a lot of fiber, which decreases your risk of colon cancer. I mean,
With whole raw plant foods or with the animal fats?
With whole raw plant foods. Your body was not meant to digest like loose, soft foods. Your body was meant to digest fiber. And, by the time it gets to the colon, it's still something to work on, the whole raw foods. But, I mean, you see a lot of times with colon cancer, one of the big risk factors is eating low fiber diets, high fat, low fiber.
That was a lot of info, Ray. Thank you for sharing that. What other benefits are there from whole raw plant foods besides preventing disease?
I'd say it provides a pretty stable fuel source. I mean, your brain runs on glucose. A quarter of the glucose you take in every day goes straight to your brain.
And what is glucose for those of us that don't know all these sciencey things you're talking about?
It's a fancy name for sugar.
Yeah. So That's pretty shocking. The brain runs on sugar. I mean, I thought I've been told my whole life that sugar's bad.
Well, not necessarily. Actually, every cell in your body runs on sugar, on glucose, basically. It's all it can run on, actually. The only time that you have, when people say fat burning, burning your fat, it's essentially turning your fat into glucose to be used as fuel. And if you're in a starving state, the body will do the same thing with the protein in your body, your muscles. It'll break it down to turn into glucose.
So it sounds like you're saying the ideal diet for a human being would be mostly sugar and low in fat and protein?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I eat, and I'm fine. I'm fit. I'm healthy.
Let me tell you, he's fit. He's healthy. So let's talk about sugar for a little bit. The other day we were having a conversation about how, the word sugar is such a buzzword and people get all nervous around it, but we can really just kind of break it down into some easy categories, right? So there's a lot of different categories we could put sugar in. How would you describe it, Ray?
So sugar, let's call it a saccharide, whatever. You got the monosaccharides are simple sugars, and the polysaccharides are the complex carbohydrates.
Like pasta and bread and...
Yeah, and then you get to real complex carbs that become starchy and indigestible by the human, but still a source of insoluble fiber.
So it's possible to digest, but just not ideal, it sounds like.
It doesn't digest. It goes right through you and takes some cholesterol with it. So it's good. It's good to get it in the body. Anytime you're eating like a slightly underripened banana, slightly underripened...
fruit?
Mango. It's the real crunchy stuff before it's turned into sugary fruit starch.
And so you're saying that starch kind of just cleans you out?
Yeah, essentially. It I don't want to say it acts as a magnet, but as it travels through the body, cholesterol, fat, saturated fat, sticks to it and doesn't get a chance to go off into the body. And so, like if you ever see that commercial, that Cheerios commercial where they said it lowers your cholesterol, well, it does by that same method, by having a lot of starch.
Interesting. Cool. So, back to the simple sugars, because that was very complex for even my brain to get an understanding of. But simple sugars, we kind of have two different categories, right? Like we have the simple sugars found in fruit that are super easy to digest because they're nature's perfect snack, right? They're the perfect blend of sugar, of fiber, and water and nutrients. Now, what about refined sugar, which is, we see on labels of stuff, it's called evaporated cane juice. It comes from the sugar cane, but then they just suck all the water out. It's just the sugar. Why is that not something we want to consume?
Well, so that's one source, high fructose corn syrup. They're all called simple sugars or monosaccharides, and they're just no good for you. I mean, there's no dancing around that. It's essentially, it's like when you pour, what am I trying to say here? They just all get destroyed by the stomach acid, by the gastric acid and secretions, and they just don't have a chance to even make it anywhere near where they would need to be digested and absorbed into the body.
Wow.
So, I mean, you have a better chance with polysaccharides, your complex carbs, like, I don't know, not condoning it, but I'm just saying bread would at least make it a little farther than, a sugary soda or something that's just going right into the stomach, getting destroyed, and it's going right through you. you get absolutely no benefit from.
But fruit, on the other hand, in its whole form,
It
has the fiber and the water.
It makes it. The sugar makes it in, fuels you.
So good. How do you feel when you eat fruit, Ray?
I feel good. I feel it fills me up real quick.
What sensations do you feel in your body? Like, how do you know you're feeling good?
When the sleepiness disappears from behind my eyes.
Ooh, I love that imagery. Nobody likes a sleepy Ray. Especially when I'm trying to dance and play with you, huh? That's awesome. What are your favorite fruits? Like, what's your go-to fruit if you don't feel like making a salad or a meal?
Well, I told you mango. I really like pineapple. It's probably my tie for my favorite. And then jackfruit.
Oh my gosh, I love jackfruit. That's a good one.
Yeah.
How did you discover jackfruit?
I think you showed me it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think we found it at our local ShopRite, a random big box grocery store where we live in Connecticut has this like tiny aisle of refrigerated tropical fruit, and they were selling slices of jackfruit for like 99 cents a pound, like a steal. And so even if you think that fruit is just boring, like bananas, apples, grapes, which I don't think are boring, but if you're looking for something tropical, you can just ask your grocery store. They might have something fun.
Yeah, especially in the culturally diverse areas like Norwich.
What other magical, tropical, delicious fruits have we found that we were surprised to find locally?
Let me see, locally. I mean, if you're thinking locally, like New York City, we've seen the durian place before.
What's durian like for those of us who haven't tried it or heard of it?
It's like a custard. It's honestly like nature's custard. It's really delicious, but it might be a strange texture your first time around. You might not be in love with it, but maybe your second or your third or your fourth time of trying it, you're gonna be like, I need more of this.
So good. It's my favorite.
It's amazing. I remember recently we were COVID stocking up at the grocery store, and we see a big pallet of what I thought was sweet potatoes at first, but upon closer examination, it was actually mame.
What's mame?
It's this Central and South American fruit. It looks like a sweet potato, and to me it tastes like a sweet potato, but it's a fruit.
And it's soft, like pudding, like pie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so good.
I couldn't get behind the ones that we got from the store recently because it didn't look like those ones from Woodstock that were just like red, that aura that they had.
What's Woodstock that you mentioned?
The Woodstock Fruit Festival?
Yeah, tell us about the Woodstock Fruit Festival.
Oh, it's awesome. It's like heaven. It's like the ultimate work share experience. I mean, you can go there, you can volunteer, you can go there, you can attend it. If you volunteer, you get attached to a work detail, but it's so casual. You're just hanging out, good people, good fruit. It's all fruit all week.
Fruit buffet, tropical fruits you've never even tried before. And if you're interested in checking out the Woodstock Fruit Festival, you can use my discount code Fruitful for $100 off. So definitely come and meet us there.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's the best. They do sports. They have presenters. I mean, it's the ultimate experience. I found it to be like just as good for my mental health as it was for my physical health. I mean, I had about 3 weeks to go before school started, or less than 2 weeks, and I really just wanted to stay home and keep cracking the books. And you convinced me to go up there with you.
Yeah, it's like the best summer camp ever. I was gonna say for adults, but it's all ages. Families are welcome.
There's some babies there.
Yeah, and kids. There's tie-dye, ecstatic dance, yoga. We got into acro yoga. Just so good for the body and mind and spirit.
It's on a lake. You can swim.
Oh, yeah. Love it. Get that cold shock in the morning. So good. So I just want to circle back to raw whole plant foods, which is totally found at Woodstock Fruit Festival. Oh, they also have really good salad bar at dinner with like sauces and zoodles and organic produce. Oh, my mouth is watering just thinking about it. But like, why is it so important to eat raw whole plant foods, specifically when we're talking about weight loss?
Well, one huge thing that you don't find in the raw plant-based diet is salt in high amounts.
And why is that important for weight loss?
The reason why is because we have a saying in the bioscience field that's called water follows the salt.
Yeah?
Basically just means that wherever the salt is, the water's going to go. If you ingest a lot of, frozen foods or whatever that have a lot of salt, packed into them, your body retains a lot more water, and you have some edema, otherwise known as swelling. That much salt flowing through your blood vessels is going to attract a lot of water, and it's going to increase your blood pressure by virtue of having more volume in the vessels.
Wow. I can actually attest to this firsthand. When I first switched to eating whole raw plant foods specifically for weight loss, that was my intention. I just ate fruit and raw vegetables for most of the year. And after I started following some like raw vegan gourmet chefs, I learned some new recipes, and they had like nuts and spices and seeds and salt. And after I would eat a meal with table salt or even the Himalayan pink salt, I felt so thirsty, and I had never felt such a desire to chug water in the whole year preceding that. And you're right, then afterwards I feel the bloatedness, right? And just not the same high energy and vitality that I felt when I eat fruits and raw veggies. So that's really interesting about the blood vessels. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Salt follows the water. A lot of the initial weight that you're going to lose when you make this switch to raw vegan, a lot of it's water weight, because it's just excess water that's just hanging around, edema, in your ankles, in your arms.
Yeah, my feet were so swollen when I was 60 pounds heavier than I am right now. It hurt to stand. I couldn't even put on my favorite shoes, like my sneakers, to go for a walk. It was just so tight. Yeah. And that was all just water, I guess. That's crazy.
It'll melt away.
So why else are whole raw plant foods ideal for weight loss?
Something we talked about earlier. One thing that they don't have is a lot of fat. Fat, as we talked about, especially saturated fat, which is commonly found in animal products. Typically, you can get some saturated fat in certain, raw fruits and vegetables, but it's not usual. And that's one of the biggest risk factors for, for these things like heart attack, atherosclerosis, which is plaque buildup in the arteries and damage. We all know what it looks like when it builds up just on your body itself. Obesity. It's not good.
Yeah. So it's really important to eat whole raw plant foods if we want to lose weight. And I can attest to that firsthand. So I just wanted to ask if there are any common myths that you can think of about eating whole raw plant foods. Like, what do people ask you?
Gosh, I mean, I can't imagine even to count how many times people ask me, where do you get your protein from? It gets to be annoying after a little while.
And what would you say to someone that asks you, where do you get your protein from?
I would tell them that that all fruits and vegetables contain protein. It's found in maybe smaller amounts than people are used to. All in a banana, there's protein. You might plug it into your MyFitnessPal and it might say 1 gram of protein, and you might think, oh, I need to eat my body weight in grams of protein per day, but that's just not the case. And if you do that, you're going to spend a lot of money on a lot of protein sources that you just don't need to.
Yeah, it can even take more energy to break down those animal proteins and rebuild back into amino acid chains that the body can use. I experienced a lot higher energy levels when I switched to raw whole plant foods. Did you experience that too?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that I didn't experience was muscle breakdown, muscle atrophy. I mean, I feel like I was lifting more weight.
Yeah. Super lean, super chiseled, whole raw plant foods. Boom.
Yep.
That's awesome. So it was really cool to talk to you about whole raw plant foods from a medical nursing perspective. Now, just about Ray, the vegan nurse, what support or resources are available for people that are interested in eating raw whole plant foods for weight loss? What would you recommend they can go to for support?
Well, nowadays everything's on YouTube. I mean, you can find all sorts of how-to videos, how to change your brakes, how to change a battery in a cell phone or something. You can find some raw plant-based dieting info on YouTube for sure. And I mean, people check out your source. You're very good too.
I didn't ask him to say that, guys. So what compelled you to become a nurse?
It called to me. I've always been a people person. I like to help people. And there's really no better time to help someone when they're not feeling well.
I totally get that. And what compelled you to become a raw vegan?
I watched that Netflix documentary, What the Health. And this was after my first semester. It's actually after my second semester of nursing school. And I learned about some of this stuff. And so it kind of hit me a little differently, knowing some of the science behind what he was talking about. And I knew it to be true. And so I bought into it, and I'm glad I did.
That's awesome. I'm so grateful. And just for fun, what profession other than nursing would you like to attempt? If you had the time.
Well, I thought I was a good actor.
Yeah? Want to be a star in a movie?
Maybe.
A movie about fruit?
Maybe I'll just be a con man or something.
What?
I'm just good at acting, but I don't know if I could do all the takes.
Was that movie, the Catch Me If You Can, where he did all the different professions?
Yeah, I've studied that film a lot.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
I wonder if he likes fruit.
He's a good one for sure.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time today to talk to us about raw whole plant foods, about why they're so important and so good for you, for your health, especially if you want to release any excess weight. Love the shout out to the Woodstock Fruit Festival. That was such a game changer for me, and I think for you too. And I hope to see all of our listeners there. Use the discount code Fruitful. It's going to be an amazing time in August in Diamond Point, New York. And yeah, if there's one thing that you can do today or tomorrow, what would you recommend for folks? What's the one thing you recommend that they could do today or tomorrow?
Gosh, for action steps, I would just say, don't think, just do it. Just go vegan, go raw plant-based. Just do it. I'd say
just have fruit for breakfast and see how you feel.
Just watch some of those documentaries. Sometimes they'll make you feel a little guilty you didn't do it earlier, but that's good because it's never too late.
It's never too late. I love that. It's awesome. Thanks again, Ray.
Yeah,
thanks
for
to
having
everyone
me.
for listening, and I hope you have a healthy, dynamic day. Toodles!